Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the channel for another video today. Today, we are talking about tirzepatide withdrawal. I found an article on this and I was so intrigued. Just this random article popped up and I was so intrigued that I ended up doing a ton of research. Like I fell down a rabbit hole on this and I cannot wait to share with you guys everything that I have found. I think this goes a lot into, we hear a lot about what happens when you go off Mounjaro. Are you going to gain all of the weight back? How will you feel? And we hear a lot about weight gain, like weight regain and food noise coming back, but there are so many other things that could happen to you when going off of tirzepatide, or like feelings you could have, things in your body that will change, that I found it so interesting and I wanted to share this with you guys. So the article that I found that I got a good portion of this information from is a HEALTHLINE article, and I'm going to link it down below so that you can go and read the full article if you feel so inclined to do so. But I'm going to try my best to recap the main parts of it here for you guys. And I want to know, as always, if you are somebody that stopped Mounjaro, tirzepatide, whatever, if you noticed any of these things, because a few of them are like, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. So I do want to say I'm not a doctor, and I'm also not filming this video to scare you or to fearmonger you or whatever. I'm just kind of sharing the information I found in this article. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if this stuff happens with everybody or whatever, but I just found it interesting and I'm just relaying the information to you guys as always. So the first thing is that you should not stop cold turkey. I think that's something that is being learned as the research into these drugs gets further and further in. Because in the beginning, it wasn't a big deal. Like I myself stopped relatively cold turkey for that 1 month that I didn't take it. And I didn't necessarily, I don't know. I wasn't aware to be looking for these changes. And so I'm curious now if I would go stop again, if I would notice any of them. But especially if you are a diabetic, it is so important to not stop cold turkey, just because of all of the like blood sugar and stuff like that could change if you do, or if you were to stop cold turkey. So I wrote all this out, things that can happen during tirzepatide withdrawal. So this is when you go off tirzepatide for any length of time. These are the things that can happen within your body. The first one is your blood sugar spikes. So this is true whether you are a diabetic or not. Whether you're a diabetic or not, Mounjaro tirzepatide is altering your blood sugar levels. That is what it was initially designed to do. So that is why when I didn't eat that one day at the Great Wolf Lodge, why I had this fainting episode, because my blood sugar bottomed out. It is affecting your blood sugar. So if you are to suddenly stop taking it, it's going to interfere with your blood sugar levels. And this could be dangerous, obviously, especially if you are a diabetic. This is the number one reason why you should not quit cold turkey, because if you have these huge sudden blood sugar spikes that you're not used to having and your body's not used to having, that could be obviously dangerous. So number one reason not to quit cold turkey is the obvious blood sugar spikes that can occur in your body. Number two, this is one that I do think I noticed, I'm not gonna lie, and that is severe mood swings. So we have learned, as Mounjaro has become more popular and as more research has been done on it, we have learned that the effect on the brain from the hormone replacement therapy that this is a pretty big effect. And so you are altering hormone levels within your brain, right? You're turning off food noise, you're turning off sort of the receptors that make cravings happen and make addiction happen and make anxiety happen and make all of these things happen. You are altering those receptors in your brain, but those alterations are not permanent. So as soon as you stop taking Mounjaro, especially if you stop taking it cold turkey, you can experience some pretty severe mood swings, either up or down. And this would be especially true for people who have diagnosed anxiety or depression. It can significantly worsen it if you were to stop this cold turkey and, have your hormone levels. It's kind of when so a good example in my mind is when you're pregnant and you have the baby, right? And your hormones are sort of up here and everything's great. And then you have the baby and your hormone levels literally just go bloop. If you've had a baby, you know. And so about, I don't know, 12 to 24 hours after having that baby, what are you doing? You're crying at everything. Like your husband could leave the room to go get a coffee and you are gonna cry thinking that he's never coming back. It's just, there's this huge like dip that happens when you're pregnant, and that's kind of how I'm relating it in my mind. I obviously don't think it's as worse, but if you're used to having this medicine for a good portion of time, it does take usually a couple weeks for it, so it's not quite as sudden, obviously, for it to fully leave your body, but you are gonna have this hormone dip, right? And so if you were way up here, your anxiety was feeling better, you didn't have any food noise, and then you stopped taking it, bloop, your hormones are back to the levels they were previously, and you're having mood swings and you're having anxiety and depression. It can also go the other way. There are people who report increased anxiety or depression while on these medicines. And so then they stop taking the medicine and it's like the opposite. They go up instead of down. And so, yeah, that's definitely something to be aware of, is the possibility of mood swings. Number 3 is probably the most obvious, and so we're not gonna spend a whole lot of time on it, and that is increased appetite. As the medicine leaves your system, then your digestion will not be as slow anymore. Your food noise will return, and you will be more hungry, and you will have a harder time saying no to the things that you were easily able to say no to. Whatever your vice food-wise was, you won't be able to as easily say no to those things anymore. Number 4 is probably the one that I found the most interesting, and it's probably the one that takes up the most of my notes. So your sense of taste. So within this article, there was a doctor by the name of Jewel Osborne Wu, and she says, taste involves a complex neurological process that starts with cells in the taste buds and ends in key centers of the brain. GLP-1 receptors have been found along multiple parts of this pathway. So essentially, the pathway from the taste buds to your brain, along that pathway, there are lots of GLP-1 receptors, meaning the receptors and that are telling your brain what the food tastes like can be altered throughout that process with the use of a GLP-1. So GLP-1s actually are known to increase taste sensitivity, meaning if you eat a sugary food, it's gonna taste sweeter. If you eat a salty food, it's gonna taste saltier. And so that's actually part of the reason why we don't want those things at such a high level. It's, the I guess I didn't realize, I thought we were just replacing a hormone. And I guess I didn't realize that it was really like inside the actual cells and genetic makeup of your body that was being not permanently altered, but altered with the use of GLP-1s. And so literally the way that your mouth tells your brain things taste is being changed through the use of GLP-1s. So that's why you might eat something super salty and think, oh, that's like, I don't want that. That's super salty. Same thing with something super sweet, because your body, the GLP-1 is literally altering the way your brain thinks things taste, which is like super cool if you ask me. So Osborne Wu also said GLP-1s directly influence the type of cells that are expressed. What? Who knew? And in doing so, can change the profile of taste cells, such as those found on the tongue. So that is really cool, in my personal opinion. So like your body, the GLP-1 is altering your cells enough that things taste differently. I think that's so cool. Again, it's not a permanent altercation. So if you go back and you stop taking a GLP-1, then the receptors will stop telling, obviously, the cells in the way that they were while on GLP-1. But I think that is so cool. So not only now are we dealing with the slower digestion, the hormone therapy, altering hormone levels in our brain, telling us that we don't need sweets and sugar and candy and stuff constantly, but we also have GLP-1 receptors telling our taste buds, telling our brain that things taste differently than they did before, which is really cool. Like, it's amazing how many things a GLP-1 can do. It's like this magical thing, right? So obviously, like I said, this is not permanent. It'll change back as soon as you stop taking a GLP-1. But it is something that will happen while you're on it. And so when you go off of a GLP-1, you can most likely expect for things that tasted bad to you, or if you were somebody that would try a bite of cake while on a GLP-1 and you couldn't eat more than 2 or 3 bites of it, then all of a sudden you're like, your food noise is back on and the cake tastes great to you again. So it's really interesting to me, at least. And altering taste buds was not something that I personally was aware of. So like I said, mood changes, I wrote that down again, so not really sure why, because we already talked about that. But the next one is GI side effects. So this one kind of makes sense when you really think about it. Again, the GLP-1 is altering your the digestion, how fast things move through your digestive system. So when you stop taking it, again, you're going slow, 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 slow. You stop taking it, oh, we're going fast again. So you might experience some diarrhea, increased bowel movements, nausea, vomiting. And then the biggest one was actually gallbladder issues, which I found really interesting. I guess just because the way that you process everything in that area. So the gallbladder and the liver work together, I'm pretty sure, to filter, essentially. The liver to filter, but I'm pretty sure the gallbladder does something right in there. I'd have to research that more. But because of that, because everything is moving quicker and everything is sort of sped up all of the sudden, gallbladder attacks have been reported more frequently, which I think, again, is really interesting. So one thing that Dr. Wu says in that article is that you can expect it to not last for a super long amount of time. And if it lasts longer than a couple weeks, like if you're having nausea, vomiting, diarrhea after stopping a GLP-1 for longer than a couple weeks, then you probably should go and see your doctor. And if you have any severe type of pain, especially in that upper left quadrant, which is where your gallbladder is, then you should go and see your doctor. Yeah, it's GLASS. Gallbladder, liver, appendix, stomach, spleen. Follows the path there. So you should go and obviously see your doctor about that as well. So yeah, I want to know what you think about this. What do you think was the most interesting thing that can happen during tirzepatide withdrawal? Personally, for me, it's the taste bud thing. I think that is so interesting. And now part of me wants to like stop for 3 weeks and see if my taste increased, like do a social experiment. I don't know. But then at the same time, like I don't want blood sugar spikes and I don't want severe mood changes. And so maybe I won't do that. But I think the takeaway from this and from this article specifically is just how much GLP-1s alter everything in your body. They're not just slowing down your digestive system. They're not just balancing your hormones. They're literally working in the GLP-1 receptors throughout the cells in multiple parts of your body to come together to make this grander effect and of the blood sugar stabilization and insulin secretion and turning your food noise off and lowering your appetite. All of these several different facets in your body are working together to do this. And I think this just shows, just in the fact of like what can happen if you stop, how many different areas of the body the GLP-1 is affecting. And again, it just makes me think that it is a magic thing that is literally the best thing that was ever discovered. I don't know. I mean, I guess penicillin saved a lot of people's lives, but I'm sure that when you look back on medical history in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, Mounjaro or tirzepatide or GLP-1s in general are going to be a huge part of that discussion. And I hope I'm still alive to see it. Like I hope that I'm still alive in, how old would I be in 50 years? 86. That would be great if I could be around in 50 years to like see this stuff start popping up in like medical journals and health, like healthcare books and all of that, to really see how it all comes together in 50 years on how the overall change of the American people and the world people, but the American people's health is, I think would be super cool. There are those that think that it's a terrible thing and it's going to be horrible side effects for us all 50 years from now. And I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll ride that wave and figure that out when we get there, but it'll be interesting to see. So let me know down below what you thought was the most interesting or the thing that surprised you the most And please don't stop taking your tirzepatide cold turkey. Always talk to your healthcare provider about that. My sister is on tirzepatide and actually just found out that she is expecting, and I was researching for this video and I texted her and I was like, you gotta look at all this stuff I just found out. Maybe you need to call your OB, see if you need to just stop cold turkey or wean off of it for a few weeks so that you don't shock your system and something bad happen, you know? So if nothing else, then I helped her by researching this video and my future niece or nephew, then I am happy with it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Tomorrow we are actually going to be talking about Thanksgiving and all of the ways that we can enjoy it and also be in total control of the day. So I hope you will join me again tomorrow for that video, and I hope that you guys have a great Tuesday. Bye guys.